This is a video focused on Quincy's modules and products. The idea is just to clear away all the confusion related to what different versions of Quincy is offered and what modules those offerings support, and just compare and contrast the different versions of the product. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over the products available. We're going to talk about the Quincy module matrix, and then we're going to look at the actual modules so you have some idea of what they do. Despite all the confusion, there are in fact only two Quincy products. There used to be four on the website. We've consolidated them down to the two that made the most sense relative to our customers' demands, or requirements, I should say, and what intelligently differentiated them. And so we've come up with Quincy Investigator and Quincy Collaboration. The things that differentiate them are the five notable things here. There are in fact other differentiations between them, but they're of less significance. The first one here is scalable processing. With Investigator, Quincy sits on the box, as large a box as you want, and it can process however much that box can process. It's a good model, it's simple, it's straightforward. But it does not allow you to scale out processing. Quincy Collaboration does. It allows you to add additional processors, additional listeners to scale out any of the different capabilities of the product. So if you need a lot of if you have a lot of users, but maybe not a ton of processing, you can scale out the number of listeners that are servicing UI-related activity. If you have a lot of processing, but maybe a few users, you can scale out the amount of processing that's going on. Any number of the different capabilities the tool can be scaled. Collaboration is probably the single biggest differentiator. Investigator doesn't allow it. And Collaboration does, as its name suggests. There are also a number of different widgets in the product that are geared toward collaboration, so they really only show up, obviously, in Collaboration. Among them would be the chat application, the tasking, and things of that nature. User limit. Investigator allows one user in addition to the administrator. Collaboration has no user limit. You obviously will need hardware to support a large number of users. You may need even to load balance among a bunch of Quincy listeners, but there is really no practical limit to the number of users you can support using Collaboration. Watson is the key sort of artificial intelligence widget in the product, and that's available in Collaboration and not Investigator. So that's probably one of the few functional differences between the two products. And then obviously we've already described the collaboration widgets like chat and tasking and things like that are in Collaboration, not in Investigator. I should also add, actually, and I'll discuss this in the next one, that the remote forensics capability, the acquisition capability, is available for Collaboration and not Investigator. But we'll see that on this screen here. These are the Quincy add-on modules. It's the add-on matrix. You can see the modules running down the left and whether they're available in the products here right under these columns. You've got database analysis module, chat analysis, which is Belkasoft, phone analysis, which is Compelson, translation, image recognition, add-on users, add-on processors, and acquisition. I think it's probably unfair to call these additional modules, but there are potentially additional expenses, so I wanted to at least highlight them so that nobody ends up being surprised. Investigator allows these top five. Collaboration obviously allows all of them. The difference between the two, obviously, being add-on users is allowed in Collaboration. As I said, there's no user limit. Add-on processors, as I said, again, you can scale processing however you want. And obviously, ultimately, acquisition, which is really geared towards our corporate enterprise customers and really not relevant to the standalone Investigator anyway. So probably not a big issue. It's not available for Investigator. Let's move on. Then let's talk about the individual modules. There is the database analysis module. These are just highlights of some of the key features that are available within these modules. I've divided this one into two primary categories: SQLite analysis. And that's important because SQLite is the primary database for basically all web and app related programs or tools. So you find a lot of SQLite databases, and Quincy allows you to interact with them and write queries for them so you can fully understand not only their contents but the table structure. You can generate reports from them. You can do whatever you need to do to really extract the key data. Analyze large-scale databases. Now, I'm not entirely, at the moment, I'm not 100% sure the access is available, but I believe it is, so I've put it here, but please don't yell at me if that ends up being wrong. But certainly Postgres, Oracle, and SQL are available. And this is the ability to point Quincy at one of these large databases and have Quincy ingest the data and prepare that data so that you can, again, treat it like a database and query it and analyze it and understand what's in it. It also has this cool capability to compare versions of the database. This is particularly compelling for tax fraud and things of that nature. We have two databases that have been slightly altered and you want to see the alteration. This is available because of this feature. Chat analysis, the Belkasoft capability. We have the ability through Belkasoft to parse all of these and present them as you would expect them in the chat application itself. So I really encourage people. I think this is a steal at the price it's at. I'm not going to quote prices here because they change all the time. I want this video to last. But please ask your sales rep or ask somebody what the price is. This is really valuable stuff in my perspective. The same goes true for the phone analysis. This is Compelson's phone analysis. FTK supports many of these formats natively, so there would be some overlap, but there's also a lot they provide we don't. And so having that additional analysis can be very powerful, and that's a module you can go ahead and acquire for either of the two tools. Translations, we support over 70 language pairs. There's a big gotcha there, though. I don't want anybody running around saying, oh my God, 70 languages. It's not the case. You can see if you're English speaking, for example, that there are maybe about 10 or 15. Obviously, English is the most common language we translate into, but there are only maybe about 10 or 15 that go into English. Or into any of these other different languages. So you got to know what language you're interested in having your destination language be, and see if we support those. Finally, image recognition, which we've had in the product for a while, but we've really stepped up. It's very, very cool now. Image recognition allows you to do a number of different things. You can perform image recognition on pre-trained categories. So we ship with a bunch of categories and we'll constantly be adding to those. Some cool key differentiators, though, between our technology and what might be available elsewhere is we allow the user to train their own categories. And this is super powerful for our larger customers that have a specific image they commonly look for, but that maybe other people don't commonly look for. This is an example of how that works. You pull in the images of that thing, you bound box them, you tell the system what those are images of, and you build yourself a library, and then you can use that library to categorize other data sets. And then finally, facial recognition, which is really powerful. You feed it a single image of a person, and it goes and tries to find that person in other photographs, and you don't have to have 1,000 images of the person to get good results. The more images you have of the person and the better they are, the better your result will be. But you don't have to have 1 billion of them. That's all. I didn't explain the acquisition widget because I think that is much more in depth and requires its own presentation, and we'll follow up with a presentation on that stuff. But nonetheless, those are the key differences. between the two products, and those are the key capabilities of the two products. And so hopefully that's clear and you've gotten value out of this presentation. Thank you for your time.